Gentlemen, there's something I need to say that very few people will tell you honestly. The way you move during intimacy, the rhythm you choose, the pace you keep, the pressure you apply, can make the difference between your partner feeling deeply connected and fulfilled, or quietly waiting for it to be over. That's not an exaggeration. It's a reality I've heard time and time again from women in real clinical conversations. Behind closed doors, they're open about what feels incredible and what feels disconnected. After over a decade working with couples, I've learned one clear truth. Most men aren't lacking passion, they're simply misinformed. They've been taught the wrong things by media, by culture, by silence. They're often doing what they think is right without realizing that it's not what her body actually needs to reach satisfaction. I'm Dr. Olivia Harper, a men's health and intimacy specialist, and in today's session, we're going to talk about 5 powerful techniques that women genuinely want, yet rarely feel comfortable asking for. These aren't gimmicks or quick tricks. They're rooted in anatomy, neuroscience, and years of real feedback from real women. By the end of this, you'll know how to move in a way that connects, not just physically, but emotionally. You'll learn when to slow down, when to build intensity, and how to read your partner's body so naturally that words become unnecessary. And when you do, you'll notice everything shift. Her responsiveness, her eagerness, her energy. And you'll feel something too, real confidence. The kind that comes from connection, not control. But before we go into the 5 specific techniques, you need a foundation, an understanding of what's actually happening inside her body, because if you skip this part, nothing else will work the way it should. Most men approach intimacy like it's an athletic act, a matter of strength and endurance. They focus on thrusting, pressure, and speed. But female arousal isn't mechanical. It's physiological and deeply neurological. It relies on blood flow, nerve activation, and emotional safety. 3 elements that all build gradually, not instantly. Here's what most men don't realize. The vagina itself doesn't have the highest concentration of nerve endings. In fact, it's less sensitive deeper inside. The areas that create the most intense pleasure are the ones closer to the surface, the first few inches near the opening, and especially around the clitoris. And the clitoris, despite what most people think, isn't just a small external point. It's a vast network that extends internally on both sides of the vaginal canal. It wraps around, forming a structure of nerve-rich tissue designed for pleasure. When you understand that, you stop chasing depth, and you start focusing on connection, friction, and rhythm. So let's start with the first essential technique, pacing, starting slow. When you first enter your partner, don't rush. That initial moment is when her body is assessing safety, warmth, and comfort. Every nerve in her body is awakening, adjusting to pressure and presence. Going slow gives her time to relax her pelvic muscles, to feel your rhythm, and to let her nervous system sync with yours. This slower pace has a biological advantage too. It allows her body to increase blood flow naturally to the pelvic region, enhancing lubrication and nerve sensitivity. If you rush, you override that process. The result? Less pleasure for her and less connection for both of you. Think of starting slow as tuning the instrument before the music begins. You're building tension, awareness, and excitement. You're giving her body a reason to trust you enough to fully let go later. When you use gentle, shallow movements early on, you're activating the nerve endings near the entrance, the most responsive part of the vaginal canal. These are the signals that tell her brain, this feels good, stay with it. Once those signals strengthen, her body starts creating its own rhythm with yours. Now, once you've established that steady, slow rhythm and you can feel her responding, her breathing deepens, her hips begin to move, her sounds grow more natural, that's when you move to the second technique, teasing. Teasing isn't about withholding. It's about creating anticipation, building waves of pleasure instead of a straight line to the end. You see, when stimulation stays constant, the body begins to adapt. This is called sensory adaptation. Her nerve endings start to dull slightly because the brain filters out repetitive input. It's a protective mechanism. But when you introduce variation, when you slow down right as things build, or change depth just as she's getting into the rhythm, you reset that process. Her brain perks up again, her body starts craving the next wave, and when you give it back, the sensation feels even stronger. Teasing works best when done in the middle phase of arousal, not right at the peak. This is when her dopamine levels are climbing, and a little unpredictability keeps the pleasure centers firing at full intensity. Think of it like music again, soft, then strong, then soft again. Each change creates a deeper emotional and physical reaction. She feels you guiding her through an experience, not just performing a routine. When done right, teasing keeps her engaged, heightens her sensitivity, and makes every return to rhythm feel brand new. It's not about control, it's about building connection through timing and awareness. The third technique is about variety. This one can completely change how she experiences you. Most men fall into a repetitive motion, same angle, same speed, same depth, and while it might feel fine to you, her body eventually adapts. That's when sensations fade and excitement drops. Variety reawakens that response. Alternate between deep and shallow, fast and slow. Hold still for a moment. Change your angle slightly. Think of your movement as language, and each change is a new word, a new sentence that keeps her attention and curiosity alive. On a neurological level, each variation activates slightly different sensory pathways. That means you're engaging more of her body's pleasure map instead of just one zone. You're giving her multiple layers of sensation, pressure, friction, stretch, all combining into one richer, more complete experience. Don't think of it as performance. Think of it as exploration, learning what makes her body respond most fully in that moment. The fourth technique is one that far too many men overlook: grinding. Most men rely on in and out motion because that's what they've seen or been told. But the truth is, the most sensitive parts of the female anatomy respond best to contact, pressure, and movement, not depth alone. Grinding means staying deep and moving your pelvis in small, circular, or rocking motions. This creates friction and pressure along the internal branches of the clitoral network, as well as contact with the external clitoris. It's a full-spectrum stimulation that mimics what her body naturally craves. This technique works beautifully in close contact positions, like when your bodies are pressed together. It allows her to feel warmth, rhythm, and full body connection, not just motion. And here's the bonus. Grinding helps you last longer because it's less stimulating for you, giving you control while amplifying her pleasure. Many women describe this as the difference between being done to and being with. Grinding feels shared. It allows her to participate, to move with you, to find her rhythm too, and that's where true connection happens. The fifth and final technique, the one that transforms everything, is attention. Real attention means you're not lost in your own head or your own sensations. You're tuned into her, her breathing, her subtle movements, her micro expressions. When you shift your focus from, am I doing this right, to what is her body telling me, everything changes. Every woman has her own unique pattern of response. Some respond to shallow rhythm, others to deep pressure. Some need consistency, others need change. You won't know unless you pay attention. Watch how she moves. Listen to her breathing. Notice when her hips lift or when she pulls you closer. Each cue is communication, her body's language telling you exactly what it loves. And here's the secret that very few men ever learn. When you're truly attentive, you become intuitive. You stop guessing. You start feeling her reactions before she even says a word. That kind of presence is rare, and it's unforgettable. But attention goes beyond the physical. For women, satisfaction is deeply tied to safety, trust, and emotional presence. When she feels seen, when she knows you care about her pleasure as much as your own, her nervous system relaxes, her arousal deepens, and her connection with you expands. This is why women often say that the best lovers aren't the most muscular or the most experienced. They're the ones who are present, who make them feel safe enough to let go. When you show up that way, not trying to prove, not performing, but being with her, her entire body responds. The experience becomes richer, more connected, and infinitely more satisfying for both of you. Now let's connect this to the part that most men never think about, the physical foundation behind pleasure and stamina. Because even the best technique in the world won't reach its full potential if your body isn't supporting it. I tell my patients this all the time. Your performance in the bedroom is a direct reflection of your overall circulation, hormonal balance, and energy levels. It's not just about what you do in the moment, it's about how your body functions every hour of the day. Let's start with blood flow. Erections are purely vascular events. They depend on healthy arteries and flexible blood vessels that can expand rapidly to fill the penis with blood. But as we age, these vessels can stiffen and narrow due to inflammation, cholesterol buildup, or poor lifestyle habits. The same processes that affect your heart and brain also affect your pelvic circulation, often earlier. That's why one of the first signs of vascular aging is difficulty maintaining firmness. It's not a lack of desire, it's a lack of flow. And here's the hopeful part. Blood vessels can be retrained. They can recover elasticity and responsiveness when you give them the right support. The simplest and most powerful way to do that is through nutrition. The foods you eat directly influence your nitric oxide levels, the molecule that signals your blood vessels to relax and open. Leafy greens like spinach and arugula, beets, pomegranate, and citrus fruits all boost nitric oxide naturally. So do healthy fats from sources like avocado, nuts, and olive oil. Next comes movement. I'm not talking about hours in the gym. Even 20-30 minutes of brisk walking daily improves blood flow, enhances nitric oxide production, and lowers inflammation. Gentle strength training, bodyweight squats, push-ups, or resistance bands supports testosterone production and keeps your body metabolically young. Now let's talk about stamina and energy. These are powered by your mitochondria, the tiny engines inside your cells that produce energy. When you're sedentary, dehydrated, or eating processed foods, those mitochondria slow down. That's when you feel tired, sluggish, or quick to fatigue. But when you fuel them with nutrients and oxygen through good circulation, you regain that steady energy that allows you to last, to stay present, and to enjoy. Hormone balance is another key pillar. Testosterone isn't just about libido, it's about mood, confidence, and muscle tone. After 40, testosterone gradually declines, but that decline can be slowed, even reversed naturally through diet, rest, and resistance exercise. Zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, and healthy fats are crucial for this process. And yes, sleep is one of the most powerful testosterone boosters you have. Most of your testosterone is produced during deep sleep. If you're staying up late, scrolling on your phone, or waking often through the night, you're cutting your hormonal strength in half. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality rest. Your energy, your focus, and even your erections will reflect it. When your circulation is strong, your hormones balanced, and your energy stable, every technique you use in intimacy becomes more effective. You last longer. You feel more confident. Your connection deepens because your body is working with you, not against you. Now let's tie this back to something that too many men overlook: mindset and presence. True sexual connection doesn't come from trying to perform, it comes from trying to connect. When you treat intimacy as a shared experience instead of a performance test, the pressure dissolves. You stop counting how long you last or worrying about whether you're doing everything right. Instead, you become curious, responsive, and emotionally open. Sex isn't a race to the finish line. It's a language, one built through rhythm, attention, and care. Every sigh, every breath, every shift in energy is a word in that language. When you listen to it, you start to speak fluently without even trying. Here's the truth that most men never hear. Women don't remember positions or duration. They remember how they felt. They remember the way you made them relax, the way you made them laugh, the way you looked at them like they were the only person in the world in that moment. That's what makes her want you again and again, not technique alone, but presence combined with care. So, let's recap the roadmap you can start practicing tonight. Start slow. Give her body time to respond and build trust. Tease. Create anticipation. Keep her senses alive. Vary your rhythm. Switch up tempo, depth, and angle to awaken new sensations. Grind. Focus on connection and pressure rather than just motion. And most importantly, pay attention. Let her body teach you what it wants. Then, support those techniques with lifestyle fundamentals. Move daily, eat for blood flow, sleep deeply, and keep your stress in check. Because the stronger your body, the more energy and control you bring into intimacy. And finally, remember this: great lovers aren't defined by what they do. They're defined by how they make their partner feel safe, desired, and seen. So tonight, when you're with your partner, forget about perfection. Forget about proving anything. Just be there. Feel her responses. Let the rhythm guide you. Listen more than you act. Because when you move with awareness, when you care enough to slow down and notice, you give her something most men never will: a sense of being cherished. That's what she'll remember. That's what she'll crave. And that's what will make her choose you. Not just tonight, but every night.